Ready, set, art. Today, part one on fall animals. And what we're going to learn how to draw today is the owl, the fox, the hedgehog, and the squirrel. Part two video will show deer. Okay. Now, where does this all lead to? It's going to lead to our fall animal with a fall scene inside the body. The body will be done in a realistic shaping. And then we'll have this surreal moment. Remember, surreal means taking the unreal and making it look real, and that's what we're doing here. So we're going to do a fall scene. So you can see in here I have the deer again, and then I added some trees and fall leaves kind of going through the air. I wanted to make the squirrel blue because of the sky being blue, and I just thought color-wise that would work as well. I did a nice gradation in the back. Remember that a gradation goes from light to dark. You start with a base color, and then fade in the second color, right? As I was finishing that, there was this little acorn that he had in his hand and just felt empty here, so I added this in as well. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to start with the owl. Now, granted for you, when you look at your sketchbook page, it's going to be probably this small where you fit the 4 animals on one page. Demonstration purposes, I'm going to use the whole page so that you can see. Okay, so the first thing is to go ahead and add my axis line in. In this case, it's straight because it goes from head through torso. It's nice and straight. And then I'm going to create the shape of the head. It's almost like an oval, but on its side. And see how I keep reworking it? That's because when we sketch, we're trying to get the proportion just right. These little lines I'll erase later. It's okay to make mistakes as you go. It's why pencils have erasers. Artists make mistakes all the time. Art is all about correcting mistakes. I'm going to add this egg shape in. So that's really how art works, is we look at something and we figure out the basic shapes. Looks like the shoulders might come out a little further. The basic shape of it, and then we detail later, adding the tail. I'm going to add this branch in. And then I kind of look and just make sure that proportions are, on the most part, fine. I'm going to put a placement for the feet, or the talons. You see I don't have all the talons in, I'm just putting it in so I can see. And then I'm going to put this shape in for the chest area. Alright, so next I want to work on this face shape. So if you look at it, it has this really interesting circular shape going on the right. It's mainly how those little feathers come out, and then that interesting bait. That's what makes owls so interesting to draw. I'm going to go ahead, I already have an axis line going through the middle of the face so I can place the beak, so that's fine. And then I'm going to put a dash line here, kind of sketchy, for the eye placement. The eyes, I'm going to go ahead and put in this circular shape because it's going to help us figure out the beak. Look how far it goes out. See, now I'm realizing I think this head goes out too far, right? So that's natural that as we're drawing, we start correcting as we go, okay? And then from there, I'm going to put in those big eyes, and they're pointed on each end. Kind of nice wide eyes, pointed on each end. Now, on here, because I'm drawing so small, I just kept a highlight in there and filled it in black. Normally when the eyes are a little bigger, you can go ahead and put this detail in like that nice line, and then I'll leave a highlight in there, right? So I'm going to leave this little highlight, put that darker part in, and just kind of fill in for now, okay? And remember, this is just a sketch, okay? We're just learning proportion. I'm going to just kind of fit in the neck a little bit. Now I'm ready for that beak. It's almost like a diamond, right? But a little longer than this part. Okay. I'm going to add a little shadow, some detail feather lines. Why not? Just adding those nice sketchy details. And then for this inside part, I'm just using sketchy lines, but I don't start right at the edge here. I kind of want to leave a white edge, so I'm just going to put a little dash line there and then go from there. It helps to highlight when you leave a little bit of a white space there. Okay. Right. See how it's starting to create those details? And then I'm just going to add a few little sketches up here for feather purposes. Some owls have those little, you know, this part added to it. They're little, those almost ear-like shapes. And you could add that in too, but there's different types of owls, right? And then as we get to here, the feathers are longer. So instead of these short little lines, now I'm going to do a few longer lines. That helps to indicate that the feather there is longer. And then there's even long, just as for shaping for the chest. Okay. And then for the wing, we know the feathers are even longer, right? So I'm just adding these lines in, and I'll just make some even longer lines. All right, the feathers get a little shorter here, so I'm doing dash lines here. Now I'm ready for those talons. Okay, those big talons help to catch what? Mice. Yes, huge talons, and maybe even some prairie dogs. Okay, I'll make my branch a little better now, or more prominent. And then now I start to detail the feathers more. Like that's an actual feather where there's the line and the little lines, angled lines coming off of it, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add these type of lines in. And then I shape the feathers around it. Remember, it's a little sketchy. Some shorter ones maybe overlapping. Angled lines coming off that middle line, right? And then sometimes they have those little dash stripy marks. So I'm going to just add those in as well. All right, first owl sketch done. Moving on to the fox. Here we go. So I'm going to start with my access line. All right, and then to figure out the head, the angle of that head, I kind of just hold my pencil and then compare. Do the same for the head. See that? So now we have our access line, and we are ready to do this part of the shaping. Maybe I can place it right here so it's easier for you to see. Okay, so I'm going to put in the chest, the hind area. Okay, and then if I look right here, I generally start with the hind area because there's so much more movement compared to the front. So I put a little mark there, a little mark right here, mark there. This one's slightly angled more. That fox, right? And then little body. Okay. And now I'm ready for the head shape. Okay. All right. We have our basic shape in. Looking at it right now, the legs are too long. Usually when students are drawing, they draw the legs way too short. Okay. So I have my basic shape in, and I'm ready for some of the detailing. Okay, the eyes are to the side this time. What does that mean? So instead of like this, they're going to be shaped more like this. Okay, so I'm going to just put that shape in. Let's put in that nice little ear. You like that ear? Brow. It's cute nose. Looks like I need to actually shorten it, right? Looking more like a German Shepherd instead. They got those cute little faces. And we'll just bring that in a little more narrow. I love this part. This is kind of that distinct feature that we see on foxes, is that shaping right here that comes off the side of their head, right? All right, some more detailing. Make that eye darker. Okay, and we're ready to put this in. Now looking at it, I could already tell the neck was too long. All right, so which might mean we have to take in the hind leg a little more. Okay, that's another common mistake that happens in art, is making the bodies too long. Okay, so I will correct that. Oh, already better. Okay, so if you made that mistake, just correct it. No big deal. All right, next I'm going to add some of the body shaping, like the shoulder blade. I might have to have this up higher just so I can draw. Okay. And let's create that leg. So the legs in the front are mostly straight, so that one won't be as hard to do. I'm going to putting that in because we know about their white paws. And then this back leg. Then that paw kind of comes down. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in the hind leg. They have that furry rear. Furry. Alright. This is the part students have a hard time with, is that back area. Okay. Then here. And looking at it, it looks okay, but I'm starting to realize, again, too long. I keep drawing them too long. It's probably because I like drawing horses, and those do have long legs. Oh, much better already, right? But that means we're going to have to bring up that white part a little higher. Okay. Then we're ready for the tail. I feel like this is another distinct feature besides this area here. So I'm going to put this in, and then it has that fluffy little rounded section there. And I could keep going, but essentially you're going to that point right there. Next, the hedgehog. That one should be fairly easy to draw because you can see it's mostly a very round shape, right? Okay, so we kind of have this oval and then this triangular shape in the front. So I'm going to leave that right there. Okay. All right. To bring it down a little further because I can tell it's way too high. All right. Next, let's put in this shape. Okay. And then I like this jawline, so I'm going to add that in. That might help to figure out a few things. We barely see those little legs. They're so tiny. And remember, we're being sketchy. We're not going on to our realistic drawing yet. We're figuring out proportion. That's what we're doing. Okay. Sketchy sketch. When I was in college, we had to learn to sketch very, very fast. So see the eyes to the side? Instead of drawing it whole like this, we're drawing it like this. So it's because we're seeing half the eye. All right. And then I love these little details right around the eye. It kind of reminds me of the owl. I'm going to go ahead, just put that in. It has this cute ear. Let's put that in, and then the inside part, right? That helps that as well. They might have a few little whiskers, but not many. Okay, and then the back, those same interesting little feet, helps with burrowing. Now, for this part here, I know some students are going to do this. I don't like that. I think as a detail, you need to go in and create these interesting, I don't know, tortilla shapes where it looks like it's a tortilla from an angle, right? And you just keep going like that until you're at right here. Okay. Last one is the squirrel. Okay, I'm going to flip the paper over. All right. So the squirrel is very popular for this type of project. I mean, when we think of fall in general, we think of the squirrel because of the acorns. So I'm going to start with my axis line. My axis line looks like this. So I'm going to put a line here, just like that. You can see that first one didn't work out. That's why we sketch lightly. And then I'm going to put in the head shape. Oops, maybe I should put an axis line there too. All right, that might help me figure out. So this is the top part of the head, and then that little snout. And then it's always kind of rounded right here, right? That's what we love about these squirrels. They have this rounded little back. Here's the hind leg. I'm going to put in the small chest area, and then maybe an S for right now of the tail. Okay, from here, I'm going to go ahead and shape this little rounded body right here. They have that cute little fuzzy body in the front. Another little paw. And you can see in the detail, I have the little toes as well, right? All right, so then I want the arms to be slightly up because I want it to hold something. For artists, sometimes we like it if it's able to tell a story instead of just kind of posing. So by having the arms up, we could put something right there. Okay, so I'm going to lightly erase the face area so I can actually start some shaping. I'm going to put in some of the nose. It kind of goes up like this. They have that weird nostril. And then this huge forehead, big ears, Now, because it's a 3/4 view, we're going to draw a bigger eye and a little mouth. We essentially have what we need to move on to do a final drawing. You're going to detail it a little bit more than that, but essentially you're getting to this point. That is part 1 of fall animals.